Hi, gentlemen. Have you ever experienced that moment, or maybe you're experiencing this right now? Maybe you're months into a relationship or even years into a relationship, and you look at your partner and you look at her and you just ask yourself, how did I miss everything? How did I get myself into this relationship? How did she become someone that is completely unrecognizable? And you replay it all in your head. Maybe it was the charm in the beginning, the excitement, the potential, and you constantly tell yourself, she's not perfect, but who really ever is? But over time, as time passes, the cracks begin to show more and more. And you're now emotionally drained. You're walking on eggshells and you're wondering why love always feels like an interview where you're the interviewer and you're always failing at finding the right people. And let me tell you this straight up, gentlemen, and it's also coming from a woman. Gentlemen, you're not blind, but men, you're really taught to put up with a lot more from people, especially when it comes to women. And you're taught to be really, really strong. But that means you have to not really care about her struggles, right? And how it's hurting you. Hi, gentlemen. My name is Christy. I'm a therapist and a relationship coach. I've worked with men who a lot of the times are highly intelligent, very emotionally intelligent actually, and good people by all means. But for some reason, those are the type of people and men, I'm speaking to some of you, who really get caught up in relationships that completely chip your life away. Before I dive more into the 5 red flags or the red flags that you possibly have missed in women specifically, I want to welcome you. If you're new here, welcome. Please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and that like button because it helps me understand what kind of videos and psycho-educational videos that you guys like listening to. So hit that subscribe button and that like button. And if you're old here, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about the 5 crucial red flags that you may not have heard of, and it's also coming from a woman, that you gentlemen often miss and you absolutely shouldn't anymore. If any of what I'm about to tell you hits home and you're going through this type of scenario and you're wondering what you should do, how it's affecting you, how it could affect you and your children, if you don't get that resolved, you can freely book a one-on-one call with one of our team members, one of our therapists, and obviously me, because we specifically work with men navigating through modern dating and relationships because it's really complex. The link is down in the description. So let's dive straight into it. What are some red flags that I often see men miss? And it's coming from a woman, so listen up. Number 1, she doesn't regulate her emotions. Now, this is completely different from temper tantrums here and there. Everybody has their moments, and I'm not speaking for the woman who is completely cold. That is probably very unhealthy as well. However, though, if she doesn't know how to regulate her emotions at all, when she's always overwhelmed, angry, and insecure, what happens? What happens to her, and what happens if you're in a relationship with her? Does she lash out, shut down, blame everyone, or make you completely responsible for fixing her mood? Emotional dysregulation oftentimes happens a lot in human beings, especially people who are not willing to understand that your emotions affect other people and they haven't triggered a sense of need to even change that. So it isn't just being moody. It's when someone lacks that internal control and tools to manage their feelings without a lot of external environmental chaos, without implementing it and injecting it into their environment or relationships. And you'll see this when you guys have disagreements, you blow up, it turns into a yelling match, or she's yelling at you while you're completely silent and just looking at her. When she uses silence or even passive aggression or dramatic statements like, this is how you made me feel, so you have to handle it, you did this and this is all your fault, fault and everything seems to be all your fault when she can't control and compartmentalize the event from you and your relationship and your loyalty to her, you start becoming what I call an emotional sponge. Now, this can really build up as the months and years pass on. And if a healthy person doesn't start looking inwardly towards themselves and learn to self-soothe, or you haven't put her in her place a little bit and asked her to reflect and take accountability, that is a huge problem. Now, obviously, when it comes to early relationships, this can be shown in various instances as early as first couple of dates. If she doesn't get her food done properly, does she make a huge fuss about it? Or obviously with longer term relationships or even marriages where it seems like every single time something bad happens, she explodes and there never seems to be effective and functional change. Now, I'm going to give you a tip. We're trying to put a woman accountable, but to be fair, if a woman is very used to turning to her emotions towards you, towards her relationships and environment, it may take a couple of times for you to reinforce the right behaviors, but try this instead. Next time she escalates a really minor issue or what you think is a very minor issue, gently ask her, hey, can we talk about this when we're both simmer down or both calm down? And if you get a more triggered response, if you get flashback and fight back or resistance, or she gets triggered by your request, that is not really a good sign. Red flag number 2. Gentlemen, this one's a very important one. You're constantly, the word is constantly, being tested. You're always feeling like you're auditioning for the role of being her greatest and most worthy man of all, and she withholds affection to see how you'll react. She flirts with other people to provoke jealousy, and she plays a lot of the games from hot and cold. And it's not that she is moody, or she may say that she is just like that. The key is she doesn't take accountability for it. It's not out of confusion, it's out of control. Now, that's not a mystery. That's a manipulation tactic dressed up as high standards because, gentlemen, her goalpost is always moving. And what you need to watch out for in the early stages of dating is this. If the rules are constantly shifting, if somehow her values and standards and belief systems and morals are constantly shifting, unreachable expectations, ultimatums masked as boundaries, ultimatums masked as what she believes is the higher good and moralistic people should be and doing, how her man should be reacting and doing for her. If you're resonating with some of these red flags and you're wondering how these patterns affect you, your future, if you're married, even your children possibly, or your family, and overall, obviously, your entire worldview and how you view yourself, your mental health, you don't have to navigate through this alone. However, I hope you've tried therapy, of course, but feel free to book a one-on-one call with us or me, and you can speak to someone on our team, okay? Because we're here to help men understand that you have a lot of power in relationships. Red flag number 3, and this is a highly crucial one. And for some reason, I see a lot of men not put their wives, girlfriends, women, or even daughters accountable for this. It's when she uses victimhood as power. She uses victimhood to get what she wants. Could be unconscious or subconscious, or it could be conscious. However, to me, it doesn't really matter. She always has a story how everyone has wronged her. It's everyone's fault. Every ex was toxic. Every person in her life possibly blamed her for being XYZ or a horrible person. And so she just cut that person off. Every friend betrayed her and every boss misunderstood her. You may start feeling extremely protective perspective when you start hearing these things, because you don't see what those people see. You see the victim that she really is, and it's hard to catch it in the moment because you feel it, but you haven't been shown other sides to devalue what your hesitations are, so you just start to believe it. And she starts to make you feel like you're the only person who's ever understood her. But over time, you realize she never really likes to take responsibility or accountability. If you ever hurt her, even unintentionally, and maybe this already happened in the early stages of dating, she weaponizes that wound to make you feel like the villain, and she's constantly berating at it every single time. Even if you've accounted for it, acknowledged it, apologized that it was a mistake and that we would move forward from it, and you asked her what you would like you would like yourself to do differently next time, that's a huge red flag. It's someone that cannot be soothed, and it's a huge victimhood. Now, what's my insight as a therapist? What I call, and I've used this word and I created this lingo by myself, it's called chronic victimhood. Chronic victimhood is a defense mechanism. It's protecting her from everything that she doesn't want to do, which is being accountable, actually having to change, actually having to provide value for other people in order to get respect back. But in a relationship, it leaves you feeling like you're walking on eggshells, afraid to say the wrong thing all of the time, or afraid of doing the wrong thing all of the time. And she set a billion rules throughout the day, and you better follow it, right? Red flag number 4. And please, guys, listen up, because for some reason, if it comes from a man, it's different, but coming from a woman, I want to tell you it's very much true. And watch out for these type of red flags. High standards with very, very low effort from her part. She's constantly, let's talk monetary now, she's constantly talking about wanting a luxury life, designer things, 5-star vacations, but she doesn't seem to work hard for herself. She doesn't have something that she's accomplishing or that she's driving towards in terms of a monetary value towards the marketplace, or even to people and services or any products to make an impact, or her own life, right? And she contributes only to your vision. She contributes only to wanting to get something out of your vision. But with that, she's expecting a very certain lifestyle when she's with you, and she puts very little effort in supporting you on building it. And that's not ambition, guys. That's not high value. That's entitlement. And what I want to tell you, gentlemen, is that watch out for that. A woman who didn't come from money, or a woman who isn't, call it, having the same standards aligned with what she can provide for herself, possibly maybe a little bit higher, is a huge, huge red flag, and not going to really care about what you care about, which is relationships, okay? May not. And I want you to ask yourself this: if I stop giving her everything, what would this relationship run on? Ask yourself that. If you stopped giving everything, what kind of relationship do you still have? Now, that question always hits home for a lot of my clients, and that's what I wanted to give to you, because at the end of the day, gentlemen, I want you to experience a relationship that if you've lost everything, if there was a zombie apocalypse suddenly, that you know for a fact that woman is going to stay by your side. Now, I'm not talking about 50-50 relationships. However, though, if a woman is using you to climb up a certain ladder, I don't know why you gentlemen are okay with that if she doesn't provide the same amount of effort in other realms of life, like your emotional stability, or if you have children, that she is going to nurture them to the best human beings possible, or if she is providing in her own way towards, if she has a job and she's providing the same ratio, possibly like 5%, right? She pays for some stuff. And this is as early on as the first couple of dates. Don't be paying for everything. Test whether or not she's at least going to bring her wallet out and pay for the little things. So please, guys, stop being used as a resource. Red flag number 5. This one's a really important one, and you can only be honest with asking this question yourself, or this statement. You can't be honest with her. You can't be fully honest with her. Maybe you want to bring something up, an insecurity, a mistake, a dream, and something inside of you says she'll probably get defensive, or she'll disagree, or she won't be your cheerleader, and she'll twist it around and tell you that it's a wrong choice, that's stupid, or that's dumb, or all of the negative, conflicting, hesitating questions or statements that you're going to get from her. And being in a place like that, knowing that you can't be completely honest with your partner, especially during times where you're conflicted about certain decisions or choices in life. We all go through that, and you're starting to doubt yourself if you've made the wrong decision, maybe in a career move, and you want someone to talk to and work it out with you and be understanding rather than judgmental. That is a very, very, very isolating place to be, especially for men. That can feel emotionally unsafe. That can feel extremely invasive. That can feel like your relationship isn't at peace. And everyone says relationships is all about safety for women. Gentlemen, don't devalue the fact that your relationship has to also feel safe for you. Now, safety could mean differently for men, but however, women need to provide it for you as well. And that's through understanding, listening, supporting, right? And being your cheerleader and challenging you and to reach higher realms. However, it should never be debilitating, judgmental, negative, and pulling you down. And those are all of the red flags. And here are my really just final thoughts, guys. If you've only hit a couple of these, don't start thinking or over analyzing that you are in a horrible relationship, right? This is what I don't like about YouTube, and sometimes my words get taken for exactly what it is. However, if you're seeing that your relationship has all 5 of these red flags, I mean, that is a huge, huge amber flag, right? And you need to start realizing, could it be something that you reinforced in the beginning that you made a mistake on? And that's what I want to talk about, or hoped you got out of this video today, is more for growth of you. If you start seeing any of these red flags in the future, maybe you're dating, it isn't obviously automatically mean that your relationship is doomed. However, it does constitute a moment of reflection, and that is what I want to take home. You guys are survival beings. You guys react quickly when you want something, you get it, and that gap from you liking something and getting it is way too small. You guys need to reflect more. Maybe I'm a therapist and I reflect all of the time, and I force my clients to reflect. But here are some questions I need you to ask yourself. And this is a lot of the times what I ask clients who firstly work with us. Are your needs being met? And if that question seems to trigger 0 thoughts or blank thoughts or just a singular no, that's a red flag for you, because you haven't even started seeing, okay, well, is it that she doesn't meet any of my needs, or to what degree, right? Like you have to slow down and think, or is it just a couple of needs that aren't being met? Are you catastrophizing, or is your anxiety telling you that your reality is actually true and it's dangerous? Everything stems in my head with that question, but it's obviously different for every person, every relationship. But ask yourself that. And are you growing, or are you just reacting and surviving? Yeah, let me just leave it at that. And are you becoming more of the version that you've always wanted to become with her or is it less? Now, we don't want to be cynical or overly individualistic when it comes to relationships, because when you're in a relationship, you're going to make certain sacrifices of your individualistic self, or when you were single. However, though, that doesn't mean you have to sacrifice core value systems, belief systems, or your goals and your dreams. That's when it starts becoming extremely debilitating. That's what I want to wrap up with, those 3 questions for self-reflection. If you're a deer in the headlights at this moment of time and you haven't even started asking yourself these questions and started having these conversations and reflections towards yourself, that is somewhat of a problem, but that's also why I suggest therapy. For some reason, not for some reason, I mean, I understand why. In our society, a lot of men don't believe therapy is helpful. And a lot of the times, what I've seen and gotten to understand with a lot of our clients, and also speaking to the men in my family, emotions have always been very useless to you. And I completely understand that. I understand that a lot of the times with your friends, it's either a couple of statements, right? Hey, I'm having a bad date. Yeah, no problem. Do you want to come out for a drink? And you guys drink it away, or you want to go work out. It's always an event. And a lot of the times, and if you had a parent that wasn't able to help you reflect and dig into how important it is to think about how bottling up emotions are not the productive way of functioning in life. It can feel like your normal basis of experiencing life or going through life or tackling life is ignoring emotions. Now, I'm not saying emotions are always the right way to turn to. However, though, if you haven't already asked yourself these questions, it's a huge red flag on your end. And that's probably why you missed some of her red flags, okay? Now, don't catastrophize though. So if you want to book a one-on-one consultation with one of our therapists, or even me, you can click the link in the description and we'll walk you through it. But give it a go. I always say therapy has been life-changing for me, has been life-changing for a lot of our clients that was resistant to even welcoming another person into their brain, and was completely life-changing for a lot of my the men in my family who quite traditional, not taught to talk about emotions, and not taught to reveal their vulnerabilities in fear of it being weaponized against them. And so that's not the right way to function. Okay, guys, or else you will implode, right? So I hope this video really helped you. And I just want to remind you guys that it isn't your fault, but maybe a little bit. Okay? So hope you guys enjoyed this. Until next time, bye.
Hi everyone, if you enjoyed our content, don't forget to follow us on TikTok and IG where we post daily, and YouTube where we post weekly.